All right, can I pause for a minute? All right, good morning. It is Motivated Monday, March 30th, 2026. It is the end of Q1. We're getting into Q2. The year is seeming to fly by. So I'm going to open with my thoughts today on, protecting the habit, not the outcome, right? When we get focused on the outcome of what's going to happen, that can derail our plans, right? Rather than focusing on the habit that's going to get us to where we want to be, because you can be distracted if you don't, you can be distracted and discouraged if you don't reach the outcome that you're looking for as quick as you want it, as quick as you want it to come, right? So I am, as always, going to open with my opening thoughts about protecting your habits, right? Focusing on the habit, not the outcome. Some weeks don't test your skill, right? They test your character. You wake up and everything feels heavier than it should. Conversations are harder. Problems take longer. People don't operate the way you expect them to, or the way they should. And even though you're doing the work, it feels like nothing is moving. You felt that before, haven't you? When you're showing up every day, handling setbacks, dealing with frustration, and still having to lead, still having to perform, and still having to keep going. The hardest part, the results aren't showing up yet. That's where most people start to slip. They start questioning the process. They start letting emotions dictate their actions. They start slowing down, pulling back, waiting for things to feel easier. But here's what you need to remember: results lag, habits don't lie. What you're doing right now may not show up today. It may not show up this week, but the habits, the consistency, the way you show up when things are hard, that's what determines what happens next. So today isn't about feeling good. It's about staying locked in, even when it's difficult. Because the days that feel like this, those are the days that separate you from everyone else. So that's, kind of my opening thoughts. So what we're talking about today, right? Protecting habit, removing outcome obsession, and consistency identity. And I think one of the big ones, habit protection, is so incredibly important. When I built my business, I started in this business knowing nobody, and a business that you need to know people to be successful, right? Real estate, as we say, is a relationship business. I think that's any business, really. It's all a relationship business. There are certain, right, any kind of restaurant business, customer services are relationships, right? It's not just a relationship of the owner, it's a relationship of the entire staff, everyone from when you walk in the front door to sitting down to the food that's coming out of the kitchen. There's some sort of relationship there, right? There's trust. Who's handling your food? But habit protection. So when it came down to knowing nobody, I had to make sure I focused on building my database, building my business. I had to focus on the small part of one person at a time. Good morning, Fati.
Good morning,
All right.
Señor Tony.
I am all right. How are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I am all right. Today is about protecting the habit, not the outcome. Right? Being focused on the habit. I was just kind of talking about just now how I built my business through cold calling, and it was knowing nobody and going from having to make sure I uh, figured out how to add people to my database and protecting that habit of growing the database when the results, I wasn't seeing the results, because we get focused on results, then we may not, we may become discouraged or distracted. I attribute a lot of everything I do to fitness. And if I focused on not getting to the goals that I wanted to on the short run, I would probably be more likely to quit, especially in, instant gratification culture that we have nowadays. It's easy to become distracted and see that new shiny item and say, "Oh, let me try that. Let me give up what I'm doing." Specifically, I built the business through cold calls, right? And it took over a year to close that first deal, but then it became, you know, incredibly productive. As the follow up from that is where so much of my business has come from. So, my first thought today is, what is the habit that drives most of your results? And for me, it is the consistency, right? My smart plans, making sure I follow up, and not letting tasks slip through the cracks. Having the CRM set up so that no matter what, I have follow up set up regularly, depending on where people are my in my pipeline, whether they're active or they're down the road, or they're just someone who said I can stay in touch. I have a smart plan for every single one. And then when it comes to deals that are happening, not only do I have a smart plan, but I usually create additional follow up tasks that, even if it's just brings my attention to that client, and then I move on. So what habits drive most of your results? Ms. Fati?
Hello?
Hello?
Yes.
So yeah, did you hear? I said, what habits drive most of your results?
Um, I guess what you just said is consistency.
Uh-huh.
So
And
to be consistent or whatever it is, and just keep doing it.
what do you think you're most consistent?
Um, I've been pretty good and consistent at waking up every day.
All
So
right,
we
there
just
we go.
don't wake
That's just,
up.
hey, no, I mean, that's a big one, right? Because if nothing's forcing you to get up, it's easy to be like, I can sleep in. I can start the day whenever I feel like starting the day. And that is definitely dangerous when it comes to trying to stick to schedules and time blocking. So is there anything in particular that might threaten that habit?
Well, I have this really cute dog that just loves to cuddle. So whenever I'm like super amped and I just happen to sit down on the couch, she'll just come and then she'll just end up cuddling with me. And then she
Uh-huh.
cuddles. When she cuddles, I'm like, I guess a 20-minute nap won't hurt. And then I end up taking a nap.
That I get that. I totally get it. Mhm. So then how do you protect yourself from that, from keeping that from happening?
Well, sometimes, I mean, I could try just saying, stay away, sleep demon, but I don't think that's going to work. So I guess I could, when I notice that she's starting to get snuggled up and doing that little cinnamon swirl type of position that she gets into right next to me to fall asleep, I could get up and just reload.
It's tough. It's tough to push away those that are cute and cuddly and sweet and that we care about. I totally get it.
Right? Because then they just look at you with those googly eyes, and you're just like, what am I gonna do? You know?
Mhm. I totally get it. And yeah, no, I get it. And I would say, I think when I was thinking about what threatens, my habits. I mean, there's lots of distractions, and it's like, how do you protect yourself from distractions and just stay focused? And that does come from personal discipline, right? And that's one of those things you build over time. And I think one of the things Gary Keller says is you can't be disciplined everywhere in life. You're going to be disciplined in certain things, and as long as you're disciplined in what's important to you, then and what not, but not just what's important to you, but things that will help you grow. If that is one of your goals, growth in life. So, I try to be pretty good about I think when I didn't give you an example, but protecting my discipline, or how do I protect, my habits? I think it's, just by protecting my yes. So, everything you say yes to means you're saying no to something else, right? So if you say yes to that cuddle time, to that cute little cuddle demon, sleep demons, what sweet demon, what'd you call her?
I think I like cuddle demons.
Cuddle demon, your little
Yeah.
cuddle demon. I love it. I'm gonna trade that. I'm gonna trademark that cuddle demon, cuddle demon. Oh, that's fantastic. You got to say no to the cuddle demon, all right, in your life. And what is that cuddle demon in your life that is distracting you? I don't know what that is. Maybe I do. Anyway, all right. So what, hey, listen, we got a few minutes now. It's just you and me. What is some, what do you want to talk about here for a couple minutes since it's just the two of us?
Um,
What
I
in your business can I help you with?
how do you so you've been cold calling, and I think it's amazing. Do you feel like that's something that's scalable? Like, do you feel like you're at a place now to where I don't know, like do you ever get to a place to where cold calling is not like necessary, I guess? Like do you ever
Yes. Oh,
scale it?
yeah, no, I don't. Well, one, I think it is scalable, to a degree. Yeah, I know. I think it's absolutely scalable, especially with the way I'm building my business. For one, like, so, um, because now it's all about the follow up, right? And but at the same time, so it's all about collecting data and information, and so you know, one because we have a YouTube channel we're building together. I think that, that is something that we have a value to offer to people. And so, it's kind of like before it was like if I was trying to collect people's information, a lot of people are hesitant to give out their email address, right, on the first cold call, which is, because nowadays they're just bombarded with
Yeah.
even when I started, I was cold calling in 2018, 2019, 2019, and through 2021, 2022. I mean, I still cold call on occasion, but it's not as necessary. But people were very even reticent back then to give out their email addresses, and it's just gotten harder. Um, and just because with all the robodialers and all that sort of thing, and but at the same time, so with the cold calling, the reason I think it's scalable is one with the way I building the business now. It's like, okay, hey, we put out this completely original tell you things to do in Atlanta web series, YouTube channel. Like, love for you to check it out, subscribe. What's the email address? I'll send it over to you. And at the same time, I'm still going to send them the text with a copy of with a link to the video, right? So it might make it easier to collect data. Um, and then, just again, continuing to follow up. And then as you build that team to do the follow up for you to that database, and then I think that's why it can be scalable, but you only need to build your database to a certain size before it's going to be a successful database that is paying you, right? So I think if you cold call, you use that to get to where you need your database to be of people that you can regularly connect with, right? Because ultimately there are people in that database that just never pick up, and they haven't picked up in 7 years. Well, so I think it's a good tool to build to eventually scale your business. So hopefully that answered your question.
And how do you like with everything that's going on, like you said, people are getting bombarded with calls that are scam, and then people are getting bombarded with scam text messages. Like, how do you no, I don't want to say compete with that, but how do you do something to where you're able to get sifted through that mess to where you can actually reach a person? Is it just would you say
It's
it's just
numbers.
consistency? Huh?
It's consistency in a numbers game, right? Like yeah, I mean, right. Ultimately if I sat on the phone for, I think it was, and for 1 hour, I hoped, if I got two contacts added to my database, I was like, yeah, it's not a bad hour. Four was a solid hour. Anything beyond four, I was like, this is amazing. That was a good day, right? I mean, the average agent, I think, adds no more than 8 contacts to their database per month, right? Per month. So if I'm doing that 5 days a week and adding two per day to my database, that's 10 a week. And there were weeks where, I've added, um, you know, I think one of my best weeks ever, I had like 55 contacts to my database, and these were voice to voice conversations, right? This wasn't just like a data collection where, people filled out a form and, and that was actually during COVID, which was during COVID, the results went way down because everyone was so standoffish. Like people, it was just a weird time, and no one wanted to take a cold call during COVID. I think they wanted to enjoy their time off and, and social distancing from everything. No, I don't know about that, but definitely from the cold calls. So, and like that week, I actually had spent uh 44 hours on the phone because I'd closed out every single deal I had. And I was like, all right, I don't have any deals running. I'm just cold calling. I'm going to be on my phone until I find the business or build my database or both. Right. And there was also an office competition running that week. Um, so yeah, it's just being consistent and being a true voice and listening to their, what they're saying is another way to stand apart. Especially and if I get someone who says, I don't want to sell my home. And I said, great. I don't want you to sell your home. They're like, wait, you're a realtor. Why don't you want me to sell my home? Right. And you get them asking questions. All of a sudden you're standing out.
Yeah, no, that definitely.
So, what else you got? Any other questions?
Well, for me, it was just how do you stand out? And like when you do get an influx, because I'm for me getting numbers when I'm out and about is not challenging, but it's also sometimes it becomes overwhelming because then I have a lot of numbers and
Mm-hmm.
then I don't know, like my follow up doesn't. I guess I get overwhelmed by the amount of numbers that I have, and then my follow up is just like okay.
Well, do you think it might behoove you to create because if it is easy, like because one, you plug that number into your phone and you forget about John Smith that you met at whatever the event was, right? It's easy to do that. You go a day and you're probably gonna like you go more than 3 days, someone's contact information, you get an event, but maybe create that Google form on your phone so that
Oh.
so that way you're plugging it because one that goes will populate out to your a sheet, right? As a CSV, you can now right you plug their phone number in, whatever information, where you met them, uh, right, and then you export that as a CSV, and you can now import that into your CRM and put them on a smart plan. I was trying to see if I could come up with one more three-letter acronym after I was like CSV, CRM, for your DDD. I don't know, no, right? But I actually think that would be a really good tool for you because you are really good about getting numbers from people you talk to, right? And I think that would be a really because then now, if you come to it a month, like if you come to it a month later, it's fine because you can call someone 3 or 6 months later from the first introduction and be like, hey, yeah, we met it when I was, especially if it's 6 months later, it doesn't matter because you're saying, yeah, I'm a super low pressure realtor, just staying in touch, right? Well, clearly we met 6 months ago. I haven't called you since, right? That just kind of backs up what you've told them. So if you even if you're going to that sheet every 3 months, moving it into your database, and then and they're automatically imported onto smart plans, then that's going to be a really strong tool for you to use for building your database.
No, that was really helpful.
That little piece of information right there, that was worth the price of admission because I'm kind of proud of that one.
No, that was really good because that's something that I could do daily. That's something that I could do at the end of the day, in the morning,
You could do that
right?
weekly. Like you could really do the import weekly, right? Like because it is such a task to like I mean like when you have the form from the open house, right? You got to manually do all the forms. That
Yeah.
is time consuming and it's intimidating, especially if you got a big open house. Like, oh, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
So awesome. Put it on your list of things to do. That form is getting made today and put on your phone.
Yes. I'm gonna actually save it as an app. I think that's a great
Yeah,
idea.
yeah, right. Same it as the little icon on your screen.
Desktop, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and put it in one of, on the folders on your home screen because you want to make it easily accessible.
Yeah.
All right, cool. What else we got? We got an idea machine going right now.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think that was a solid one right there. I'm gonna
All
implement
right,
that one.
you want to end it with that then?
Yeah.
All right. Well, then we'll go with the closing thoughts today, and then we'll get on with the day. So before you move on with your day, I want you to think about this honestly. What happens when things don't go your way? When the deal gets harder? When people don't operate the way they should? When the process feels slower than it's supposed to? Do you stay consistent? Or do you let that frustration change how you show up? Because this is where emotional discipline matters most. Not on the easy days, not when everything is flowing, but the days when you're tired, the days when you're frustrated, where it would be easier to pull back. That's when it counts because your habits don't care how you feel. They reflect who you are becoming. So this week, don't measure your success by outcomes alone. Measure it by your consistency. Did you show up? Did you do the work? Did you stay aligned with your standards even when others didn't? Because if you can do that, if you can stay disciplined when results lag, then it's not a matter of if things turn, it's only a matter of when. And when they do, you'll already be the person ready for it. So I am Tony Toich with Motivated Monday. Good morning and good luck.
Ah, did you hear me?